Hello and welcome to Skyline's first episode tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, it's me, Driti Atri. For millions of Indians living abroad, it is more than just a dream. It is a dream built with years of hard work, family sacrifices, and countless hopes for a better future here. Some choose America because they want world-class opportunities. Others look towards Canada for a stable life. Many wealthy Indians even invest millions of dollars to secure permanent residency overseas. But today, that particular dream, it is changing faster than ever before. Tonight, we are not discussing just one country. We are connecting 8 important stories that reveal how immigration, opportunity, safety, and even public perception are changing for Indians living overseas. Well, some stories will give you hope. Some will raise serious concern and some will remind us why staying informed has become more important than ever before. So, without wasting any time, let's start with it. For years, the EB-5 investor visa, it has always been one of the fastest legal pathways to permanent residency in the United States. Unlike the employment-based visas or maybe family sponsorship, the EB-5 program allows wealthy foreign investors to obtain a green card by investing in projects that create jobs in America. Thousands of Indian families have considered this particular route over the years, specifically those who wanted long-term security for their children. But now, America wants to tighten the rule. Ladies and gentlemen, the US Department of Homeland Security has proposed new regulations that would formally strengthen the EB-5 program. One of the biggest proposed changes is increasing the minimum investment for certain projects to $1.4 million, while introducing stricter oversight, biometric checks, more frequent audits, and stronger monitoring of regional centers that manage the investor funds. Well, the proposal is currently open for public comment before becoming final. Now think about this. For many Indian families, the EB-5 route, that was never simply about immigration. It was about giving their children access to better universities, greater career opportunity, and eventually American citizenship. But higher investment requirement, it could make that particular dream more and more expensive. And yes, at the very same time, the US government says that these changes are designed to protect genuine investors. Over the years, several EB-5 investment projects, they were accused of fraud. They were accused of misusing of the investors' money. In fact, some families invested millions only to discover that projects had collapsed before creating the required jobs. And that is exactly what the government now wants to prevent. But for the Indian investors, the message is simple here. Well, America is not closing the EB-5 program, but it wants stricter rules, greater transparency, and stronger financial accountability. Well, anyone planning to apply, they should carefully monitor these proposed changes before making the investment decision. Because investing overseas, that's no longer just about money, right? It's about understanding changing immigration policies. And yes, speaking of immigration, let's now move from America to Canada, because there is finally some good news for Indian families waiting for visas. Well, while America is making one immigration pathway tougher, Canada has very quietly made one visa process much faster. Well, when parents grow old, distance becomes the biggest challenge. Thousands of Indians living in Canada, they dream of bringing their parents and grandparents to stay with them for a longer period of time. And that is exactly why Canada's Super Visa program has become so important. Now, unlike a normal visitor visa, the Super Visa that allows parents and grandparents to stay in Canada for an extended period of time, and that too without repeatedly applying for a new visa. And now, there is a welcome news, ladies and gentlemen. According to the Canadian Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship Canada, Super Visa processing time for applicants from India has dropped from 66 days to just 50 days. And yes, while work permit timelines remain stable and visitor visa has also improved just slightly here. Well, study permit processing has become a little slower for Indian students. Now imagine a family living in Toronto or maybe Vancouver, waiting for elderly parents living thousands of kilometers away in India. Every extra week, it feels like forever. Every visa delay, it postpones family reunion. So even a reduction of just a few weeks, that makes a significant emotional difference here. Interestingly, India has become one of the biggest beneficiaries of Canada's latest visa processing update. And at the very same time, students planning to study in Canada, well, they may have to wait slightly longer for work or maybe study permit here. This shows that immigration policies continue changing across different visa categories. Well, for Indian families, keeping track of these updates has become extremely important because sometimes a small policy change, it can completely alter the travel plan. But yes, while Canada is making life slightly easier for some immigrants, America is moving to exactly different direction here because immigration enforcement inside the United States has now reached another record. Now, America's immigration debate is becoming much more intense every single day. Border security, illegal immigration, mass deportation. Now, these issues, they are dominating political discussions across the country. And now the latest number that reveals just how aggressive immigration enforcement has really become. Ladies and gentlemen, according to reports, the US Immigration and Custom Enforcement arrested nearly 10,000 people within just 5 days, averaging almost 2,000 arrests every single day. Now, officials say that enforcement has shifted away from large, highly publicized raid towards quieter operations carried out across different parts of the country. The Department of Homeland Security says that this campaign, it is focused on removing people living in the US illegally, particularly those accused of serious criminal offenses. Can you think about what these numbers really mean? Every single day, thousands of families wake up wondering whether they will be allowed to remain in America or not. And yes, for illegal Indians or immigrants, fear has once again become part of everyday life. Many avoid unnecessary travel. Many hesitate before reporting crimes. Many continue living under constant uncertainty, and that's what's happened. Now, for Indians living illegally in America, these arrests may not directly affect them, but they certainly create anxiety within immigrant communities because immigration discussion often influence the visa rules. They can influence public opinion or maybe future government policies. America has always welcomed skilled immigrants, but at the very same time, it has also maintained some of the world's strictest immigration enforcement system. And today, that enforcement is becoming even more visible here. Well, for Indians who are planning to move abroad, one lesson is becoming increasingly clear for you. Always choose the legal immigration route. Always keep your documents updated because immigration laws, they are becoming stricter across many countries, including the US and Canada. But yes, immigration is not the only issue that is creating concern here, because our next story is about something that is much more disturbing. A Hindu temple, Indian children, and anti-India campaign that is creating outrage across America. Well, for years, Indian Americans have proudly celebrated their culture, their festivals, their faith across the United States. Hindu temples have become much more than just place of worship. They are community centers where families meet, children learn about their roots, and festivals bring thousands of people together. But now, one incident has left many members of the Indian community deeply disturbed. A self-proclaimed MAGA influencer, Elijah Schaffer, well, he recently posted videos outside the Hindu temple in Texas targeting Indian families and children. In the video, he questioned the presence of the children of H-1B visa holders, criticizing birthright citizenship, and even said that he would not celebrate America's Independence Day because there were too many Indian kids in the country. Can you imagine? Now, this video has sparked widespread outrage among members of Indian American community. Think about this. Children playing outside a temple, they are children. Parents simply practicing their faith, families spending time together, and suddenly they become part of a political campaign that they never intended to be in. That's exactly why many Indian Americans are expressing concern now. Over the past few months, immigration, H-1B visa, and birthright citizenship have become major political issues in the US. But many community leaders say that these debates, they should never turn into campaigns targeting the ordinary families or maybe children. In the meantime, for thousands of Indians who are living in the United States, incidents like these create fear and anxiety. Many believe that political disagreement should remain focused on policies and not communities. And yes, at the very same time, the overwhelming majority of Americans continue to support the peaceful coexistence and religious freedom. And that is why many people have condemned videos that target children or places of worship. Now, for Indian families watching this show tonight, well, this incident is another reminder that while opportunity abroad continue to grow, protecting communities' harmony that remains equally important. But sometimes that particular image of the entire community is affected not only by politics, but sometimes it is affected by the action of just few people from the same community. From a political controversy, let's now move to a viral video that has triggered completely different debate about the image of Indians who are living abroad. Social media can make anybody famous overnight, but sometimes it can also damage the reputation of the entire community within seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, a viral video from the United States is now creating exactly that kind of discussion. The video reportedly shows a large crowd of Indian shoppers rushing into a newly opened supermarket, and that too during a promotional event. The whole incident quickly spread on social media, specifically Instagram, with many users criticizing the behavior and arguing that such scenes reinforce negative stereotypes about Indians living overseas. Well, the footage has generated widespread online debate about public behavior and community image. Now, one video, it can never represent an entire community. We do agree with that. Millions of Indians live across America. They work as doctors, engineers, scientists, teachers, business owners, and public servants. In fact, their contribution to American society, it is enormous. But unfortunately, one social media clip, one viral one, it often received much more attention than thousands of positive stories. And that is exactly why this incident has started an important conversation. In fact, many members of the Indian diaspora themselves are saying that whenever Indians live abroad, they also become the ambassadors of India's image. Simple things like following rules, respecting cues, showing patience, and behaving responsibly help build a positive reputation for the entire country. Because you know what? Whether we like it or not, people often judge an entire community based on actions of a few individuals. And that may not be fair, but it is the reality of today's social media world where YouTube, Instagram, and Snapchat exists. And yes, while one viral video creates online debate, our next story is far more heartbreaking because a Gujarati family that moved to America hoping for a better future has lost everything in just one tragic night. Every Indian family that moves abroad carries the same dream: a better future, better education, financial security, and a safe life. But sometimes life changes in just a few seconds, right? A very sad news is coming from the United States. 3 members of Gujarati family lost their lives after a devastating fire broke out at an Econo Launch motel in Ohio. The victims were identified as Hitesh Bhai Sutar, his wife Hina Ben, and their 20-year-old daughter Ishani. The family had moved from Gujarat to Ohio around 2 years ago and lived at a motel where Hitesh Bhai he worked. Well, according to officials, they were advised to remain inside a bathroom after the fire broke out, but all 3 of them died due to smoke inhalation before rescuers could reach them. In the meantime, authorities are still investigating the cause of fire. But wait, just imagine that moment. A family trying to protect each other, waiting for help, hoping firefighters would arrive in time. But sadly, that rescue, it never came. This tragedy has deeply affected the entire Indian community in the United States. Friends, families, relatives, community organizations have all expressed their condolences. In fact, TimesXP is expressing the same. Well, it is also a reminder that thousands of Indians working abroad often live where they work, specifically in hotels, motels, and small businesses. And when accidents like this happen, entire families are affected. Now, for Indians living overseas, stories like this remind us that life abroad also comes with unexpected challenges. Success, hard work, sacrifice sometimes come with risk that no family ever imagines. And sadly, this was not the only tragic accident involving a Gujarati worker in America. Our next story is about another Indian who lost his life while simply doing his job. Well, for thousands of Indians living in the United States, every working day begins with a simple goal: earn an honest living, support the entire family, and build a better future. But sometimes a normal day at work ends in unimaginable tragedy. Well, a 52-year-old Gujarati man, Sanjay Patel, he lost his life while working at a hotel in Macron, that's in Georgia. According to local police, Sanjay Patel was unloading heavy metal gates from a truck when one of the iron gates suddenly fell on him. He suffered critical injuries and died at the scene before he could even be taken to the hospital. Police are now treating the whole incident as a workplace accident and no criminal charges have been filed till now. Now imagine this, just another ordinary work day. A truck arrives, goods need to be unloaded. In fact, the work begins like every other day, and within seconds, everything changes forever. In the meantime, police say that Sanjay Patel, well, he died just 2 days before his 53rd birthday. And that makes this tragedy even more heartbreaking, right? Though very little is known about his family or how long he had been living in America, but one thing is certain here. Like millions of Indians abroad, he had traveled thousands of kilometers away from home just in search of a better future. Stories like these remind us that behind every immigration success story are people who work very, very hard, often in physically demanding jobs that rarely receive attention. And yes, whether somebody works in tech, healthcare, construction, or maybe hospitality industry, every worker deserves safe workplace. Well, this tragic accident has once again highlighted the importance of workplace safety and emergency preparedness, because no family should lose a loved one simply while doing their job. But our final story tonight, it's very different. It's about one of the biggest immigration fraud cases involving an Indian national in America, and now there has been another major breakthrough in that particular investigation. From a heartbreaking accident, let's now move to a case that shocked America's immigration system. For years, America's U visa program has been designed to protect genuine victims of serious crimes. It offers legal protection to immigrants who cooperate with law enforcement during criminal investigations. But according to investigators, one man allegedly turned that whole system into a massive fraud operation. Ladies and gentlemen, the latest update coming from the long-running case involving Chandrakant Patel. He is also known as Lala. According to the US authorities, 4 police officers accused of helping Chandrakant Patel's alleged U visa fraud scheme have been pleaded guilty. Investigators say that officers accepted money to create fake police reports that were later used to support fraud U visa application. Well, Chandrakant Patel had already pleaded guilty earlier this year, and now he faces a lengthy prison sentence with heavy financial penalties, and maybe his assets are going to be taken by the US before any further deportation proceeding. Now think about how serious that case really is. America created the U visa program to help genuine crime victims, people who truly needed protection, but investigators say that this alleged network abused that trust for years. According to prosecutors, fake robbery reports were prepared, false documents were created, and America's immigration system was allegedly manipulated for financial gains. Now, this particular case has now become one of the biggest immigration fraud investigations involving Indian nationals in recent years. It has also sent a very strong message, though. Immigration fraud may take years to uncover, but when investigators finally build their case, the consequences could be severe. Well, for genuine immigrants who follow every rule, cases like these are deeply damaging because immigration fraud creates unnecessary suspicion towards honest applicants who simply want to build a better life. Well, for Indians who are planning to move abroad, the lesson that is very simple. Never rely on shortcuts. Never trust illegal immigration agents, and never believe anybody who promises guaranteed visas through fraud methods. Because honesty remains the safest immigration strategy that you can rely on. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's Skyline. Some developments create new opportunities. Some bring difficult challenges, and some teach us lessons that every Indian planning to move overseas should always remember. As always, we will continue bringing you the stories that matters most to Indians living across the globe. Well, this is TimesXP Skyline. Thank you for joining me. I'm Driti Atri, and I'll see you in the next episode.